All right, let's talk about a battlefield you probably never think about. It's not on some distant continent. It's happening right now inside your own eye. We're diving into the world of ocular immunology, the incredible, complex security system that's literally fighting to protect your vision every single second. So let's get into it.
You know, we think of our eyes as these delicate windows to the world. But really, they're more like a high-security fortress. They are what's called an immune-privileged site. And what that means is they have this super specialized defense network. The main goal isn't just to kill invaders, but to do it quietly, without causing a big scene. Because in the eye, any kind of inflammation, a little bit of swelling, a tiny scar, that could be catastrophic for your sight.
So that's the big question, right? How does this internal security system walk that tightrope? How does it know exactly when to go on the attack, but, and this is just as crucial, when to hold back? Well, to figure that out, we've got to meet the guardians of your vision.
Okay, so the eye's security detail, it's basically split into two major divisions. You've got two different arms of the immune system working in concert. We call them the innate and the adaptive systems. A good way to think about them? It's like having first responders and a special ops team.
And here's how they stack up. First, you've got your innate system. These are your first responders. They are fast. We're talking hours to get on the scene. But they're not too picky. They're kind of generalists, attacking anything that looks remotely suspicious. Then you have the adaptive system. These guys are the special ops. They take their time, maybe days to get fully mobilized, but wow, are they precise. They target one specific enemy. And here's the real game changer. They remember. They have a memory.
So let's zoom in on those first responders for a sec. The innate system has these frontline soldiers, like macrophages. Their job is literally to gobble up invaders. And you've also got natural killer cells, or NK cells, which are tasked with taking out our own cells if they get infected. Pretty brutal, right? They don't need a detailed briefing. They have these built-in sensors that recognize general danger signals so they can react instantly. They're the security guards walking the beat 24/7.
And then you call in the special ops, the adaptive immune system. This team is made up of the real specialists, your T cells and B cells. These cells don't just react, they learn. They'll identify a very specific enemy, design a perfectly tailored attack just for them, and then, this is so cool, they create a most wanted file, a memory. So if that same bad guy ever shows up again, the response is immediate and absolutely overwhelming. Now that kind of precision is incredibly powerful, but as we're about to see, it can also be a real double-edged sword.
So, okay, we've got our first responders and our special ops. Two totally different forces, but you know, any army is useless without communication, right? So how do they talk to each other? How does the frontline soldier call for backup from the elite team? And who gives the order to attack or to stand down?
Well, the answer is a little something called cytokines. Think of these as the text messages, the radio signals, the secret handshakes of your immune system. They're these tiny proteins that fly back and forth between cells, carrying urgent orders and intel. They are the absolute key to coordinating the whole defense.
And these messages basically boil down to two simple commands: go and stop. The pro-inflammatory cytokines, those are your go signals. They're like a fire alarm, just screaming, attack, attack, and getting everyone riled up for a fight. And then, on the flip side, you've got your anti-inflammatory cytokines. These are the stop signals. They're the ones that tell the troops, okay, crisis averted, stand down. It's the immune system's off switch.
So when that go signal gets sent out, it kicks off this incredible chain reaction. It's not just one thing. First, it wakes up all the immune cells in the neighborhood, gets them armed and ready. Then it's like a flare being shot up in the sky. It calls for backup, recruiting more and more inflammatory cells to the fight. It even acts like a key, unlocking the doors of the blood vessels so these warrior cells can get out into the tissue where the battle is. And the craziest part, it amplifies itself. It triggers the release of even more go signals, creating this massive feedback loop. The whole thing is designed to create a fast, totally overwhelming response.
I mean, it's an amazing system, right? So effective, but it is so powerful. And the whole thing hinges on perfect communication and knowing exactly who the enemy is. So, what happens when the lines get crossed? What happens when this finely tuned army turns its weapons on its own people? Well, that's when we get into friendly fire.
And this is where things can go horribly wrong, because sometimes this amazing system, it makes mistakes. It loses the ability to tell the difference between you and an invader, and it turns on the very tissues it's sworn to protect. That right there is autoimmunity. It's friendly fire inside your own body.
Let's look at a real-world example. In something called autoimmune retinopathy, the special ops team makes a devastating error. The B cells start producing these weapons, antibodies, that actually target proteins on the retina itself. Think about that. It's attacking the film in the camera. The result is this slow, creeping loss of vision. And what makes it so tough to catch is that in the beginning, the eye can look completely healthy to a doctor. The damage is happening behind the scenes.
Or how about this one? It's a wild case of mistaken identity. See, the proteins inside the lens of your eye are basically kept in a locked room, completely hidden from your immune system their whole life. But let's say an injury or even a surgery breaks down that door. All of a sudden, the immune system's patrols stumble upon these proteins they've never seen before. They've no idea they're friendly. They immediately flag them as dangerous invaders and launch an all-out assault on the lens.
Okay, now this next one is just wow. It's as fascinating as it is tragic. It's called sympathetic ophthalmia. Here's how it works. You get a serious injury to one of your eyes, just one. But that injury exposes some of those hidden proteins, and it trains your T cells, the special ops, to recognize them as the enemy. Then, weeks, maybe even months later, those newly trained T cells don't just go after the injured eye. They cross over and launch a full-scale attack on your perfectly healthy, uninjured eye. It's absolutely devastating.
So you might be wondering, if the system is this volatile, why isn't this happening to all of us all the time? Well, thankfully, our bodies have a fail-safe. It's called immune tolerance, and it's basically a whole system of checks and balances designed to prevent this exact kind of self-attack. And a major player in this system is a special kind of cell called a regulatory T cell, or TREGs. You can think of these guys as the military police or the peacekeepers. Their entire job is to run around the battlefield shouting, "Hey, hey, stand down, that's one of ours." They keep the more aggressive, hot-headed cells from causing friendly fire. And in a lot of autoimmune diseases, what's really happening is that these peacekeepers have gone missing, or they've just been completely overwhelmed.
So, when you boil it all down, protecting our vision isn't about having the biggest army or the most powerful weapons. It's all about maintaining an incredibly delicate, incredibly precise balance.
So, let's just recap the big ideas here. First, your eye's immune system is this constant dance between the fast and furious first responders and the slow and steady special ops. Second, the whole operation is run by cytokines, these powerful little messengers that are constantly shouting either go or stop. And finally, and this is the most important part, if that delicate balance gets thrown off, the whole system can turn on itself, with consequences that can literally threaten your sight.
I mean, it's just a system of breathtaking complexity, isn't it? A constant, hidden battle being waged every moment to protect one of our most precious senses. Really understanding this balance, that's the whole key, which leaves us with a final, really hopeful question. The more we learn about this intricate dance, the more we understand the signals and the soldiers, what's next? What kind of new tools can we build to help restore that balance and protect our vision for a lifetime?